Good evening. I'm Bidgute Tumundimir with Today. We broadcast newsletters, articles and recent stories on every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday in English. We're having a special guest on today's edition. She's a Deputy Minister of Finance, Ms. Bulgantuya. She has graduated from Yale University of United States of America, doing her master's degree in International Economic Development and Finance and her bachelor's degree from China. Thank you for receiving our invitation and coming here today.
Thank you for the invite.
Thank you. So let me begin with a question on the budget of 2017. It seems like it has been cut a lot, right? So how will these cuts affect to our economy? How will it help? In which ways?
So 2016 budget amendment was also approved in September of 2016. And the budget deficit was approved at about 4.3 trillion tugruk, so about 19% of total GDP. The 2017 budget, we were mandated to cut down the budget deficit to at least 9.9% of GDP.
Right.
We propose from Cabinet to bring down the budget deficit to 9.9%. The Parliament has mandated that we bring it down even further. So the budget deficit was actually approved with 9.1%. So this year, from 2016 budget deficit of in 2017, we have approved the budget, decreased the budget deficit from 4.3 trillion tugruks to 2.4 trillion tugruks.
Wow, almost 50%. Is that
almost 50%.
Almost 50%, right.
Yes. So this is especially 2016 budget. The reason that the budget deficit was escalated to such high level is because there was a lot of off-balance items, such as the good projects, for instance, the good stock, the good student project, etc., which was financed outside the budget. Also the concession projects, the promissory notes that was issued also by the government. So when all these items got consolidated into the budget during the budget amendment, it has escalated the budget deficit to such high level. In 2017, the government has taken some austere measures to cut down expenditures and also quite conservatively also increase revenue. And this has resulted in bringing down the budget deficit to 9.1%. This includes, for instance, increase in over about 1.3, decrease in expenditure by over 1 trillion tugruks, and also increase in revenue due to moving forward with some of the large projects, such as the second phase of the OT project.
So can I say, okay, we are cutting extra expenditures and focusing on the large projects that will
will generate revenue. That's correct. So this includes the second phase of OT projects, the TT project, the TT railway project, TT power plant project, Zakatsurt gold mine, which is located in the north, the expansion of the third power plant by 250 megawatts, and various also other railway projects, etc., which is going to bring in revenue to the country. Also, at the same time, we're looking at privatizing some state-owned enterprises, which has been also a huge topic during the budget discussion. Currently, there are about 89 state-owned enterprises out of 70% actually operate at loss.
Yes.
So we are looking at privatizing some of them, such as the State Bank, the stock exchange, for instance.
How much of an impact will it be, especially the privatization process?
This is going to bring in a revenue of at least 170 billion tugruks.
70 billion.
So at least, so it could be even further, it could be even higher. At the same time also, of course, it's going to cut down our cost of financing throughout the year of state-owned enterprises. Yes, because most of them are operating at loss at the moment. As I said, out of 89 state-owned enterprises, 70% of them are operating at loss.
At loss.
At loss.
Okay. My next question is about the standby arrangement, which has been talked about for a while now, and it seems like we can't get it within this year. And if we are to receive it, when exactly will we receive it, and what's the process now?
So we have had technical team from IMF to come and work with the Ministry of Finance and also the Central Bank to go over the numbers and what kind of recommendations and technical advice that the government of Mongolia need to overcome the economic hardship. The next team is scheduled to come either this month, but unfortunately because Christmas is coming and everybody's going to be on holiday pretty soon, it seems that we're going to be looking at sometime early January for the decision of exactly what kind of program that we're going to be taking and what that is going to entail also. It might require us to cut some expenditures in certain places. We may also have to look at reform in certain sectors, how to improve the policy and regulations at the same time. So
it's quite a long process to apply for that arrangement,
yes.
Right? Okay, let's say we receive the arrangement. Will it better our economy, the financial status?
Well, we need to build the confidence of international investors, and unfortunately, in the last several years, we have been talking the talk, but we haven't walked the walk. So what has ended up happening is that even though now they see that the new government is taking austere actions to bring down the budget deficit, and even though it looks pretty bad, the 4.3 trillion dukrux of budget loss, we have admitted where we have made mistakes and consolidated the budget. But at the same time, bringing in an IMF program is going to building the confidence in the international investors that we are quite serious about this, and they're going to be also making sure that the right actions are taken and the right message is also sent out to international investors.
So we are having financial difficulties right now at the moment. I don't want to say crisis. And everything has two sides, right? And what's the bright side of this situation?
This is giving us a signal that right before the 2010-11 mining boom, actually, even the World Bank and IMF has warned us that this is not going to last. And we have to look at how we can have a sustainable development, that we should be investing into the future if we bring in large amounts of revenue. And unfortunately, we haven't done that. We have increased our expenditure as our revenue has increased. And now when the revenue has depleted, we're facing some tough times and started raising bonds to actually finance our budget deficit, which is why we have an accumulated accumulated debt of almost the 80-something% of our GDP. This has giving us a signal that we can't be relying on this boom-bust cycle of the mining sector. We have to ensure that we also develop other sectors of the economy. So the current government is especially focusing on the agricultural sector. We are a country with only 3 million people, with 60 million cattle, with such wide range of land. So we would be able to rely on the agricultural sector. Currently, this makes about 24% of GDP.
And what are we expecting to raise to the percent?
So now we're looking at various projects to ensure that, number one, to increase the capacity, number two, improve the export, meat export, and various also wheat, etc., so that it can increase the volume of agricultural sector in the GDP. Right now, as you know, we have very limited export of agricultural products.
Right, okay. There's also coal and copper prices rising, right? And as of now, we are very dependent on mineral industry. And so this rise of copper and coal, the price rise in the copper and coal, how will it affect? Will it affect positively to our economy?
Definitely, but at the same time, we also want to be quite conservative. We don't want to ensure just because we see a rising tendency that it's going to rise throughout the year. We have, the budget was approved with quite conservative numbers, especially in terms of the revenue. In the past, we have always made mistakes that we overestimate our revenue, and then we underestimates our expenditure, which has, of course, resulted in a huge budget deficit. So even though we see a trend of increase in coal and copper prices, which is, of course, going to be very, positively affecting our budget, at the same time, international economists and the international market is signaling that it may not be sustainable for the long term throughout the year.
Right.
It may not come down as low as it has in the last few years, but it may not be sustainable at this high price for a long time.
Okay, so it's hard to expect, hard to forecast.
Yes.
At this moment. Okay,
yes.
Thank you again for receiving our invitation and for the very interesting interview.
My pleasure.
Thank you for being with MM Today. See you on next Tuesday. Have a good day. Bye-bye.